Good evening. You are tuned in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. Google will invest 9.4 billion ringgit to house its first Google data center and Google Cloud region in Malaysia. Chief Financial Officer of Google parent Alphabet, Ruth Porat, says the pledge marks Google's largest planned investment in the country. According to the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry MITI, the investment is expected to support 26,500 jobs across various sectors and have an economic impact of about 15.04 billion ringgit. The site of the investments will be in Sime Darby Properties Elmina Business Park in Selangor. US tech giants have stepped up their investments in Southeast Asia in recent months, committing billions of dollars in investments as they seek new growth opportunities. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella said in May that the company would invest 10.5 billion ringgit in Malaysia, in addition to similar pledges for Indonesia and Thailand. Transport Minister Anthony Loke has reinstated an exemption under Malaysia's Cabotage policy for specialised ships used to install and maintain undersea cables. The move, effective June 1st, marks a reversal of his predecessor, Datuk Sri Wee Ka Siong's revocation of the policy in year 2020.
Loke said that since 2020, Malaysian and international technology companies have expressed the need for the government to adopt a more progressive regulatory framework that can encourage more investment in the technology sector. The government has also revoked the cabotage exemption for all vessels carrying cargo from any port in Sarawak to any port in Peninsular Malaysia, Labuan and Sabah, and vice versa, at the request of the Sarawak government. Loke originally implemented the exemption on April 1st, 2019, when he was part of the Pakatan Harapan-led federal government under Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad. However, Wee, who succeeded Loke following the events of the Sheraton move, revoked the exemption on November 15th, 2020.
The perception that the government has decided to abolish diesel subsidy is incorrect. Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Minister Dato' Armizan Muhammad Ali says it was only retargeted to address the long-standing issue of leakage resulting from blanket subsidies.
He explained that diesel subsidy is now targeted through retail price subsidy at petrol stations for 33 types of public and goods transportation via the Subsidised Diesel Control System or SKDS, and 200 ringgit cash assistance for households using diesel vehicles for individuals or agri-commodity through the Budi Madani program. He further explained that only vehicles that provide essential services to the public deserve to benefit from diesel subsidies. On another matter, Armizan said Labuan was also exempted from the diesel subsidy rationalisation, similar to Sabah and Sarawak for the time being.
The mid-air collision between two Navy helicopters that killed 10 people was caused by one of the choppers flying at the wrong altitude. Navy Chief Tan Sri Abdul Rahman Ayub says the Fennec helicopter was not flying at its designated height and direction, causing it to enter the other helicopter's flight path.
Faktor sekunder, channelized attention oleh kru pesawat AW139 yang tertumpu ke arah penukaran haluan telah menghadkan reaksi bagi mengelak pelanggaran.
He said the investigation board did not find any human error involved, as the Fennec did not have a black box to confirm a connection to pilot error. The two helicopters were participating in a parade rehearsal flight with other aircraft over the Lumut Naval Base in Perak on April 23rd. Abdul Rahman confirmed there were no issues of hypoglycemia, fatigue, or use of banned substances, as all crew members were fit to fly. The helicopters involved were also deemed safe to fly, with weather that day suitable for flight. He added that the deaths were caused as a result of multiple injuries from the aviation crash.
By 2040, Malaysia's demographic landscape will almost be evenly split between the young and the old. Professor Tan Mopin from University Malaya discusses the country's approach to supporting the older population, particularly those living with dementia.
Traditionally, Malaysia has always just funded healthcare, not enough, and practically zero funding to social care. So it is actually not right to give someone an appointment without knowing how they're going to get there. It's like, oh, you come and see me, but we don't know how you're going to come and see me. So then that means that the chances of you actually seeing me and making use of this appointment is actually hit and miss. So we health and social care should not be separated, and the intention of seeing that person in clinic should come with the arrangements to actually get that person from the point at their home to the clinic. And that actually extends to the whole of healthcare now, because we only consider life-saving treatments, extension of life. We lack the ability to preemptive, preventive, and we also lack the ability to actually deliver restorative, rehabilitative care. And also, when cure is not possible, we also need to think about end-of-life comfort care. So our care at the moment is only looking at curative care, and that needs to be a huge amount of investment that goes towards a whole picture, which at the end of the day creates a much healthier population, much better cared for population, and actually helps our country economically.
Tan outlined best practices that Malaysia could adopt from other countries to better serve the elderly.
One of the things that we must do is to look at what other countries have done and what their experiences have been. Okay, one of those things that we must remember is don't copy, because everyone who has tried something would have made mistakes. And it's very difficult to correct mistakes in huge government structures, because then you're left with legacy of those mistakes. So one of the things that we do know good examples from we don't have to go as far as Western countries. We do know that countries such as Japan, Korea, Taiwan have all developed very old age-friendly healthcare systems that are actually responsive and deliver cost-effective care to their older population. Those are good examples that we can examine and not copy, but borrow things that went well with through dialogue with the governments and the stakeholders, amend those things that were perhaps problematic.
We'll go for a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Korang, satu benda yang aku tersangatlah pasti dan yakin, Eras memangnya radio nombor 1 paling legit.
Betul! Dengan 4.5 juta pendengar, tanpa bergabung, legitlah kita nombor 1.
Ini berdasarkan kaji selidik pendengar radio GFK gelombang pertama 2024. Semua data dipersetujui oleh Radio Komersial Malaysia.
Sebab korang, era kekal nombor 1 di Malaysia.
Welcome back. 14 Hong Kong activists were found guilty of subversion, while 2 were acquitted in the biggest case against pro-democracy campaigners since China imposed a national security law. The 14, along with 31 others who pleaded guilty, could face life in jail with sentencing expected later this year. Beijing imposed a national security law on Hong Kong in 2020 after huge protests brought the finance hub to a standstill. Police arrested 47 democratic activists in raids at homes across the city. They were charged with conspiracy to commit subversion under the national security law. Sentencing will come at a later date for those found guilty, with prison terms ranging from 3 years to life for this offence. Most of the defendants have been kept behind bars since they were first brought to court in March 2021. Early results in South Africa's national election shows the governing party, the African National Congress, ANC, risks losing the parliamentary majority it has held for 30 years. With results in from 10% of polling stations, the ANC was leading with 42.3% of the votes, falling short of the 50% it needs to retain majority. The opposition Democratic Alliance had 26.3% of the votes, and the Economic Freedom Fighters Party had 8.1% of the votes so far. If the final results were to resemble the early picture, the ANC would be forced to make a deal with one or more other parties to govern, a situation that could lead to unprecedented political volatility in the coming weeks or months. Under South Africa's constitution, the newly elected National Assembly will elect the next president. With the ANC still on course to be the largest party, its leader Cyril Ramaphosa is likely to remain president, although a poor showing could leave him vulnerable to a leadership challenge from within the party. The ANC has been in power since the landmark election of 1994, which marked the end of apartheid and the rise of Nelson Mandela to the presidency. Australia's Department of Home Affairs is working with Ticketmaster after hackers claim to have stolen the personal details of 560 million customers worldwide. Hacking group Shiny Hunters is demanding a $500,000 ransom to stop the information from being sold to other parties.
The group posted evidence of the hack on the dark web, claiming the stolen data included names, addresses, emails, phone numbers, and the last 4 digits of customers' credit card numbers and expiration dates. Ticketmaster, one of the world's largest ticketing platforms, has yet to officially confirm whether it has suffered a security breach. The FBI has also offered assistance to the Australian authorities. Shiny Hunters has been linked to a number of high-profile data breaches that have cost the companies involved millions of dollars. The latest hacking coincides with the relaunch of Breach Forums, a site on the dark web where other hackers buy and sell stolen material, as well as information to carry out hacks. The FBI had cracked down on the domain in March 2023 and arrested its administrator, but it has since resurfaced.
South Korea says its medical schools will admit 1,500 more students next year, despite a nationwide strike by junior doctors. The government says the increase in admissions is necessary to address a shortage of doctors in the country.
The Education Ministry said medical schools would accept a total of 4,610 students next year, just shy of President Yoon Suk-yeol's target of 5,000. It argued that if nothing was done, the country would have 15,000 fewer doctors than needed to maintain basic services. The Korean Medical Association, which represents private practitioners, will stage protests in several cities tonight against the admissions hike. The vast majority of trainee doctors, estimated at around 13,000, have been on strike since late February. Walkouts have put a strain on the South Korean healthcare system, causing hospitals to turn away patients and cut back on non-emergency surgeries.
Nicotine alternatives used in vapes being launched in the US and abroad may be more potent and addictive than nicotine itself. This is according to a research by the US Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and independent researchers. However, this scientific data remains incomplete.
The synthetic substances, which have a chemical structure similar to that of nicotine, are not subject to US tobacco and vaping regulations that are designed to control traditional nicotine, a highly addictive drug. That means manufacturers can sell vapes containing synthetic nicotine analogues, such as 6-methyl-nicotine, in the US without seeking authorization from the FDA. The FDA said although more research is needed, some emerging data show these nicotine analogues may be more potent than nicotine and can alter adolescent brain development and have long-term effects on youth's attention, learning, and memory. Traditional nicotine found in many vapes and pouches is extracted from tobacco leaves. 6-methyl-nicotine, in contrast, is made entirely in the lab using chemicals.
That wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching. Good night.